when I check that again, you see it's a little bit off. Here's what I'm going to do. Now, I should have done these first, but I forgot. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you a little trick here. If it spins around like this, you can see that's off center. As that wobble comes around, if you tap right on the wobble, watch this. Get that pretty close to center. Like that, just by tapping it. But you have to tap when the wobble comes around, it's off. Now, since these are already formed, I don't have to push hard against it, but I want to put a little time of water right on the surface that touches the back, not the part that touches the pot. Why? It is good for the pot. Yeah, exactly. So, put that on the 3 points. Space them evenly. Hold this in place so it can't move. Okay, now that should be pretty centered. That's closed. What's the first step?
Turn off the corner.
First, I'm going to see if this is level. It's pretty close. It really is not even level. That's no good. Close. Okay. Now I take my small loop tool. We have three tools to use for trimming. This is the extra one we bought. If you haven't bought it yet, I think you want to buy one. Here's the large one that came in your kit. And I don't have the other one. This as well. I don't like it. Yeah, except it's different. Somebody pull out their other tool, the long one. Let me show you the difference. Okay, this one has a bevel. It's a 45-degree grinded surface. This one's straight steel stock. This one, once that bevel gets dull, which doesn't take very long, it takes quite a bit of pressure to push to make it trim. This one stays sharp as it wears out. Once it wears all the way through, it becomes what I call an earwig tool. And it detaches and you pull out this side, bend it around, and you can stick it back in there. And you take the other piece out, bend it around, and you have a spare when this one wears out. So it wears out a second time, you toss it. But you get 3 loops worth of wear on this tool. Okay, so we run this almost full speed, and as long as you've got that well attached, you can just hold your tool steady. Hold this with the round end against the clay and use your index finger on the brass barrel, this finger opposite like so, and that will just peel that off like a ribbon. You start at the bottom and just move up slowly. What is the first step going to accomplish here? You're taking off the corner. Good. You can get beat to death, I guess, by these whips here. Yeah, I used to it. Professor Dangerfield, get no respect. At home it's Daddy Dangerfield. Okay, so that's number 1. What's number 2? Checking this. Hold this tool at 3 o'clock away from you. That's level, not a problem, okay? Now if I were to split this into quarters, I probably don't want to trim much further than that, maybe here initially. So I'm going to trim out to that point, but no farther. Before I start, I push on this. Is it here? No. So I know it's thicker than it needs to be. Always use the round end initially, because it takes the clay away in a hurry with very little pressure. So I hold it at 45 degrees, start in the center, and move slowly straight across. Some people really like the trim. What a deal, huh? Now, when I push on this, does it give? Slightly. Just slightly. So I'm going to take it a little down, just a little more. If you hold this really steady, don't let it gouge because it will dive in a hurry. Make sure you keep it level. You don't want to go up and down. You want to keep it as level as you can. Now when I push on this, can you see it move? Listen to the difference in sound. So this gives slightly. This does not yet because this has a curve under it. So I'm going to come back and I'm going to come across here, and as I come out here, I'm going to drop this down more. And then I'm going to check it. Check it every time, because all it takes is one pass to make it too thin. Now I check it again. Does it give? Yeah. So I'm really determining how thick that is when I have it the right thickness by pushing gently on it and having it move. Now it gives. So that's thin enough. Now, I have some ridges here. You see these ridges that are made by the round end? We can get rid of those easily by using the straight end. So I'm going to do that in the middle here. And I'm not really making it any thinner, am I? I'm just getting rid of the ridges, the high spots. So I just come down into the corner. So that gives gently there, gives gently there. Now, I can tell it from here to here. I've got some extra clay out here, right? I'm not sure where I want that foot to be yet, but I do know there's extra clay here. So I'm going to come out here a ways. I'm going to take off this part of this corner. Looks like it's wanting to grab just a little bit here. Look how much clay I'm taking off. I'm going to end up with a third of my weight of clay.
You can reuse that.
Yeah, you just throw that in a bucket of water. It melts. Now I push here, doesn't give. I want this to give, so we're not there yet. This tool is a great one for broad gradual curves, but if you run it really fast and do this, it tends to chatter. And look at the pattern it makes. It's really kind of neat, but to avoid that, you have to run it slowly and you have to tip this at an angle like this. Then it's less likely to make that chatter. There we go. You remember that soft piece? That one piece? It was too soft. So, this gets kind of dinged up. We can fix that. Ooh, look at that. It cracked the rim. We can fix that. Put that third piece on here. Checks to make sure it's still reasonably close to center. And then maybe come back and do these one more time. So we don't want it to slide off, right? Now, the reason I did that, a couple of reasons. Number one, I was trimming quite a bit. Number two, this creates quite a bit more friction. Push on that, doesn't give you. But you can see that the contour coming off the curve here and coming down here looks like it matches pretty well. Just a little bit. Now that gives right there. Ooh, it gives there. Doesn't quite give here, so this needs to come up just a little more. You really saw that give, didn't you? Now get rid of these ridges. Now, obviously this doesn't look like it belongs, right?
I think that's great.
So I'm going to take this down a little more. What happens if I leave it right at this width? Can you see how tall that foot's going to be? That's really cool. Yeah. If I put this across the top, we can see there's a little bit I can trim off there, but not much. So I don't think I'm going to want that this wide. I'm going to take this in a little bit narrower. And I'm going to take a little bit off the inside. Hold it steady. Sometimes it wants to grab. It's discouraging if you've got this almost finished and it grabs and gouges through the foot. Okay, so is that the right width? Thicker than the rim, isn't it? Yeah, it's thicker than the rim. So we'll take it off a little bit more.
I agree.
I've never trimmed and I had some growing close to that area.
Okay, this down here gives. No, it doesn't. Not there. It doesn't quite there. So this needs to come in a little bit more here. And down a little bit more here. More. Sorry.
Sorry.
Okay. Yes. Yes. This is a little high. I can take that down. Now, be really, really careful. Don't ever use the flat end of a tool on this surface because it grabs, there's friction, and it makes a washboard. So use the round end first, run it fast, hold it steady, and make several passes across you. It's real easy to mess this up and not have it be level anymore. It's about as slow as it's going to go. Now, I will usually round this off slightly. Round off the corner there with the square end, round off this corner with the square end. Make this flat here and vertical. Okay, now,
You and your food.
that's mostly finished. Now all we have to do is burnish this. So, we'll take our trimming stick guys use? I have one I like better, but we'll use this one.
There it is. Look, it's in your bucket, Lena.
Did you throw this at me too?
I know.
Can I use it for a minute?
Anytime.
Okay, hold this at a 45 like a pencil. You come across here and using that spoon end, it polishes this, burnishes it, smooths it out. Now it'll take a couple of passes to get that nice and smooth. What happens if the bottom of your pot's too wet when you do this? It can collapse. Yeah. So we smooth that off. Now we do the vertical side here. Then we take the blade end of this and put it against the vertical outside. Smooth that. I'm going to slow this down a little bit, and I'm going to use the blade end. I'm going to come down across this. Now you're going to see a bump about right now, where I pushed it in and it made a dent. See that? It may take a couple of passes to get this smooth. Kind of a bump. Now, this had throw lines on it. When I threw this, if I want to put them back, fake throw lines, I can take this stick like this, start gear down, slow it down a little bit, and I can push this rounded end against here and come up the side like this. Just run, kind of round this off slightly. This creates what looks like a throw line that your fingers would make. And with some glazes it will puddle nicely in those low spots and make a different color. Now all that's left here to finish is this rim, and so if it's the right stage, I should be able to just burnish around that like so. If this is a little rough, I can use the flat part of that and then round across the inside. That might be slightly thick. I think it's okay. Now, if you're not sure that you're done yet, here's a little trick. Take your pin tool and on 2 of the 3 of these little pads, draw a line from the pot onto the pad. And then on a 3rd one, take it off, slide this out, and check it. And if it's a good thickness, you're done. And all you have to do is cover those back up. If it's not, if you look at it and say, oh, you know, it looks like I need a little more off there, then you line these 2 little tick marks up, put it back into place, and theoretically, it should still be centered. Okay? The last thing you do is take a dull pencil and you write your name across here. First name, last initial, or your whole name. These pads of clay I'll use on the plate. So I'll just knock off those little things. Pass this around and you can look at it.